Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to this session of the Muslim Self-Care Conference. Super excited to be here with you on day two and looking forward to really diving in with Sister Idil Farah on self-care and your health. Those of you who were here at the kickoff, you met Sister Idil, and she is the one who told us that no is a full sentence. So with that being said, inshallah, I'm going to hand you over to Sister Idil, who is going to look after you very well. Sister Idil, Bismillah, take it away.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Idil. Thank you for introducing me. Thank you for inviting me on this conference. It has been such a learning experience. Amazing speakers, beautiful sisters, incredible participation. Today, I'm going to talk to you about your health, food, self care, but really using food as medicine. And we are calling this self care and your health. So I just want to make sure that you need to always check in with your doctor. This information, because I'm not your nutritionist and practitioner, I can't follow up with you. So everything I'm giving you is information that you could use in your day to day, but just remember that food drug interaction does exist. There is certain drugs, if you're on medication, that you need to be aware of. If you need more help, we can connect in a more meaningful way. So, with that said, my name is Idil. Like I said, I'm a nutritionist that lives in Toronto. Really, I believe food is your medicine and your kitchen is your pharmacy. My kitchen is a place where herbs and spices and holistic way of healing happens. I turn to food to help me thrive, feel energized in my body. It is really important to me. I have a bachelor degree in food and nutrition. I have been practicing for over 10 years. I really believe, for me, my main work is with women and working with women in a way that allows me to sort of help them and meet them where they are and help them grow and thrive in their body. So, today, before I get into the whole conversation about self care and food and all of that, I really want to talk to you about what the antithesis of self-care is stress, and what does stress mean and how does it impact your body. Because if you're not looking after yourself, and if you're like most modern women living in the 21st century, juggling that fabulous bag of like eye gadgets and like doing it all, you are stressed, right? And if you are like most of us who feel, who like kind of fall on the, who are last on our list basically, we're feeling a lot of stress. There's a lot of real genuine we're so out of touch with our body, right? So I wanted to talk to you today and really delve into what does stress mean. So research shows that 75% to 90% of doctors are now treating people with stress related illnesses, right? And 30% of these stresses are being reported by women, right? And women experience stress differently than men. So a man would be going on and really just living his best life. Um, and he would be, uh, ooh, I just heard my own echo. Okay, perfect. Um, a man would wake up in the morning, go for a run, do what he needs to do, and then he prioritizes himself first. Whereas in women, a woman would wake up in the morning, look after the kids, feed her family, do the laundry, get ready, everybody ready for school, like, and then it's her turn, right? And also there's this other thing where women we internalize stress. So my partner's stress will affect me more, then my stress will affect him. So if he came home and told me bad news, I'll take that on and it would now become part of my stress load. Whereas in with him, if you tell him, hey, I'm kind of, this is what happened, he's just, subhanallah, the way men are made, they just internalize that very differently. So what are the symptoms of stress? Headaches, um, fatigue, foggy brain, you know, indigestion, bloating. There's so many things, right? If you've experienced that, you know, let me know in the chat. I'm going to keep an eye on that as well. Um, so I wanted to talk to you. There's something called an allostatic load, right? So stress is, our body recognizes stress the way our forefathers, our ancestors have recognized stress was, you know, a tiger's chasing you and you're running for your life. So your entire body shows up for that. Your entire physical being is like, now, whoa, you know, I gotta run for it. It's the fight or flight. We've all heard of that, right? So that physical fight or flight, that our body now, our pupils are dilated, our heart is racing, our muscles are like, the blood is pumping through our muscles so we can run for it. That is the stress response. It's only supposed to happen for like few seconds at a time, right? But with now, the 21st century and the way we live our lives, this is happening all the time. It is like our body doesn't know the difference between stress from not being able to pay the bills, or over our taxes, or over our job, or over a relationship, or even food allergies, or things like uh, environmental toxins. All of these things are perceived like stressors to the body, emotional stress. You know, all of these things come in this package or under the umbrella of stress. And now our body sees that and it's like, whoa, you know, we're being attacked. Is it a famine? The body doesn't know. The body's role is to protect you. So your body will show up for you every single time. And we women are like, we've become sort of, you know, we take that on plus all of our other roles, right? So when stress happens to the body, this entire thing, it's called an allostatic load, right? An allostatic load, so stress is supposed to only last for a few seconds, and an allostatic load is the price the body pays over a long period of time for adapting to stress and stress challenges. uh, Imagine stress as your house is on fire, right? You live in your house, your body is your house. This is the body that Allah gave you, the home that your soul resides in until the day you leave this earth. So imagine your house is on fire. What happens when there's a fire? We call the fire department, and the fire department is our hypothalamus, and it kind of calls the fire chief and says, hey, there's a fire going on. And that's our adrenal glands, and sort of sends all the troops, and the body pulls from everything, from your digestion, your fertility, from your like blood sugar. Your blood sugar goes up, your like brain function increases. So all these resources are being pulled from everything that's going on, right? From your hormones, from your liver function, everything comes to a halt, and every resource you have is now put into putting out that fire, right? But when the fire truck comes, we have the ambulance that shows up, and we have what else comes? The police, right? So the ambulance is your blood sugar, right, which goes up, and it comes to the rescue because you need energy to start running for your life. And then the police is that cortisol that is produced in your body, right? And the cortisol is a hormone that is literally your body produces to fight for you, right? It shows up when there's danger, and the body now is ready to like do what it needs to do. But imagine that's happening every day. And every day, everything you do is interrupted. Your entire, like, look at this poor camel. It's just like, I can't do this no more. It's a lot, right? But your digestion is interrupted. So you ate, but you're not breaking down the food. The nutrients are not getting to your cells to feed the rest of your body for all the stuff that you need to do. Your liver has to stop really producing, breaking down hormones, producing vital, really like breaking down the fat, doing everything that it does in order to show up and give to the stress response. Your estrogen is now being used to produce cortisol, so that affects your fertility. The brain is really connected to your digestion, but plus also a response to blood sugar. So your brain is now like using all this energy to sort of look at its surroundings and really figure out what's going on. So next time this kind of danger happens, your body knows what to do because your brain took a snapshot. All of that is happening, and then it happens to you every day, and that kind of stress response, it's all these cracks appearing. You might not see it, it's underneath the foundation, but like these cracks keep on happening day in and day out. By the time you reach your 30s, you are going to start noticing these cracks, whether it's in your skin, whether it's in difficulty trying to get pregnant, your period, your digestive health being destroyed, bloating, diarrhea or major constipation. It is whether you have heart palpitation, whether you have anxiety. All of these things are stress responses that we don't recognize. A lot of my clients come to me and they say, my hair is falling out, my skin is not doing well, I want to lose weight. But they don't realize that all of these things do add up to one thing. Like if you are someone who's living under chronic stress, this affects you all the time. Not to mention things like your gut health is really, I want to stop here and really talk about what the gut health means to you. 70% of your immunity lives in your gut. So if your gut health is compromised in any way, it is literally everything else is compromised. You're not able to fight disease. We've all heard of gut bacteria or gut microbes or microbiomes. All of that is the bacteria that live in our body that decide who we're going to be, how we're going to show up, how we're going to learn, what kind of diseases we're going to develop, our metabolism, our mental health. All of that is decided by our digestive health and those gut bacteria. And during stress, those gut bacteria, they get destroyed at a faster rate than anything else. It's worse than actually like eating sugar every day. Stress can do the damage that nothing else in your life could do. So me talking to you about what you should be eating without really explaining to you the underlying causes to your health is doing you a disservice, which is why we started here today. I'm just going to stop for a second just to see what's happening in the chat so I can answer some questions. I can't even find the chat. Okay, let me just see. So there it is. Perfect. Let's see what you guys are saying. What is an allostatic load? So it's the constant impact of stress on your body, and the price your body pays for constantly being stressed. Subhanallah, the last few years has been terrible health-wise. Yep, chronic stress has messed my cortisol. It also messes with hormones. Like women don't realize all the hormonal issues, thyroid issues, blood sugar issues. The one thing that really for a lot of women come to me about is weight loss. And they don't realize that your liver is a fat burning organ, right? But when it gets overwhelmed and when it keeps on getting interrupted from doing its everyday jobs, your liver then just literally takes it just gets overworked, and then it becomes a fat storing organ. So for a lot of people who are having difficulty losing weight, you need to think about the lifestyle you're living. Are you under a lot of stress? Has your liver been overworked? Have you been and these are not things that you can know, but if you're under stress. Okay, so let's go back to digestion. So, in terms of the importance of digestion to our health, I'll go back to this and why it is being impacted. Um, it, so, our gut bacteria, when we're born, subhanallah, in Allah's mercy and wisdom, when we are born, the babies are coated with this sticky, slimy thing that when they come out of their mom, like through the birth canal, that's the gut bacteria. That now inoculates your body and your digestion to help build your immune cells and you really tell your T cells, which is the soldiers of your immune cells, what to do on a daily basis. I know this is a lot of information, but this is stuff that you need to know so you can now understand, I'm stressed, I really need to manage this, right? So these T cells now are doing, if they don't have this gut bacteria instructing them, and our natural gut bacteria should be 80% good bacteria and 20% bad bacteria, and they live in harmony and they support each other to keep you healthy. If that balance is interrupted in any ways through environmental toxins, poor food choices, stress, antibiotics, all of these things then now will affect the health of your gut bacteria and your health consequently. So you're going to struggle, you're going to find the fear, anger, stress, all of these things will kill these healthy bacteria, and you sometimes can't get them back, right? So it's really important to be aware of that. So, what else does stress affect? It affects your heart. And why does it affect your heart? Because your heart, like, it's constantly pumping blood and working super, super hard during those stress times, right? Sometimes you're late or you're stuck in traffic and you're just upset. That's stress, right? You've had like a fight or you're in a relationship that is not the healthiest. That is stress, right? And it shows up and it affects us. It's affecting us. Sometimes we stop recognizing these symptoms. Sometimes we're not feeling our heart rate going up. Sometimes we're not even experiencing these things because they're so normal, right? So the heart, it's number one of the biggest, it affects your stress affects the health of your heart, the health of your arteries, all of that. And so it's it's really important to remember blood sugar also affects things like heart disease, diabetes. Blood sugar is when you eat, your body converts glucose into converts food into glucose, and that then becomes energy for your body. If the balance of glucose is constantly, if your body's constantly producing glucose to keep you going and energized, sooner or later you start to see insulin resistant, pre-diabetes, and then eventually diabetes. And diabetes is the gateway to everything else. Okay, so I talked about a little bit about how cortisol borrows from your reproductive health or your estrogen. Estrogen and progesterone are what's needed for healthy fertility, your period, all of that, right? The health of our womb as women, we're very, very disconnected from. And it's really important to recognize nothing happens in the body coincidentally. Everything is connected. So if you look at your health as a circle, there's a break in the circle when something goes wrong. So stress is a major part of that. Okay, let's talk how the stress affects your mood, right? Uh, 1 in 6 women in North America, is where I am and where I do most of my research, um, is on antidepressant. And a lot of women are suffering from anxiety. They're suffering from seasonal affective disorder, which is usually around the winter when they have disturbances in their mood, fatigue, exhaustion, low energy. All of these things could be are related to um, chronic stress. Okay, this is a really important one because I don't think a lot of us recognize how important sleep is to our health. Sleep is when our body repairs. All the things your body didn't get to do during the day, it's now doing when you're sleeping, right? So, why is it really important to focus on the idea of like sleeping and when sleep is interrupted? So many women I know are not, they have this feeling of wired but tired feeling. Um, so you're exhausted, but then when it comes time to go to bed, you're having a hard time going to sleep, or you'll wake up in the middle of the night, um, completely exhausted and energized. All of these things are things that there's something interrupting your sleep, and adrenal fatigue is one major cause. High high levels of cortisol can cause those kind of issues and really start affecting the level of rest and really deep sleep you're getting. So our body after 3 p.m. starts to shut things down. So our liver starts to break down all the hormones that were not used. It starts to get all the waste from our digestion, and it starts to process that. And then it starts to move everything, the elimination process starts happening, right? But if it's interrupted during that time when you go to sleep, your body then continues to do a lot of that work. A lot of people who are not sleeping have so many interruption in the body's processes that it affects them. It's why they're seeing all these health issues, especially fatigue for women. A lot of women think have become normalized fatigue, but we really don't know how good our body can feel when we look after it. Weight issues are often the first thing that shows up, and I want you to know that weight is a cause. It's a it's sorry. Weight is not the cause of something. Weight is a symptom. It's a symptom. Your body not losing weight if you're trying is a symptom of something bigger. Subhanallah. And not sleeping also affects like cognitive your that foggy brain, not being able to catch your thoughts when they're happening, or not being able to think on your feet as fast as you used to, not being able to remember. I'm going to talk about memory soon. uh, um, Finding like things like, where did I put my keys, and then now all of a sudden is, what did I eat yesterday, and then it's like it just keeps on getting worse. These cumulative effect. Let's see what we're saying in the chat. Yes, somebody is asking about early menopause. I want to make sure that we're going through some of this information real quick, and then I'm going to just completely stop, and then we're going to chat. I want you to open your mics. I want you to ask me rapid fire questions. We're going to like make sure that so if you have a pen, write your questions down, and then we can actually go through it. Somebody said, you know what, my estrogen is fine, but my progesterone is too high and testosterone too low. All of, subhanallah, Allah has created everything in balance. And as humans, we are now breaking down things into calories and like vitamins and minerals, and this food is good for you. But if you've looked at nature, everything was in balance, right? Like our body is, subhanallah, as soon as you show up, if you take one step towards your health and your body takes 10 steps towards you. And it's because our body is always meant to protect us. Our DNA regenerates every like 7 years, our entire DNA, and our body decides what diseases will develop and what diseases we won't. And all of that happens because if you because of diet and lifestyle. And people really don't put the weight they need to on that, because that tells your body whether it should thrive or whether it should break down and like eventually like develop disease. Um, Sorry, I just want to talk about acute stress and memory and cognitive issues. We all see as our loved one age increased diseases like dementia, Parkinson, Alzheimer's. All of these things have like are now showing up in greater and greater numbers, and at a younger age. Uh, you see it in younger and younger people because we live in an age where being busy and being constantly active and doing things is a badge that we wear as a badge of honor, right? We have really taken things out of balance. And subhanAllah, our deen is about balance. Everything in life is in when in balance, and when we strive for balance is when it's best. And when we are so far out of balance with how much we're doing and the lack of self-care, things just that's when you start to see all these diseases, cancer, mood disorders, cognitive health issues, memory loss. You're even seeing it in kids now because all of this is a sign that we need to rebalance things. Okay, our immune health, especially now, there's nothing more important than our immune health. Really, with COVID, with the reality of, all of this stuff that we're seeing, the state of the world, our global, um, the economy, all of that. We're more susceptible to illness more than ever. And protecting our immune health and really focusing on eliminating what we can control, which is stress, is really, really a step forward in healing, right? And step forward in taking care of ourselves. It's the ultimate self-care. So for me, the stress can cause chronic cellular damage. It could really impact how much muscle, even if you're working out, how much muscle you make. It impacts everything. So really realizing and going back to digestive health, realizing that 70% of your digestion lives in your gut and your healthy bacteria are being destroyed by stress is a real threat that stress poses to our health. I thought this was really important to bring in the thyroid because, in terms of our health, thyroid for a lot of women, I get a lot of people who are experiencing hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease that is of the thyroid. Hashimoto's is when your body attacks your thyroid and literally starts to kill off the cells. A lot of it has to do with our thyroid is very susceptible to stress, and we need it for our metabolism. It's the temperature control of our body. It is involved in so many of our body's processes, and when our thyroid is destroyed or when it's impacted, it's a long-term health issues that can lead to other health issues. So I wanted to make sure, if you have questions around that and if you're experiencing that, then we can talk about it. But this is a real thing. Like, this is one of the things that really is affected by stress in a major way. Subhanallah. So now we're going to talk about the thing that is most dear and near to my heart, which is basic benefits of like something that we could all do, right? To start making changes, right? What can we do to all start doing today to show up for our body and ourselves and to make changes towards our health so we can become healthier and start the process of self-care. If you guys have questions, please ask now. If you need to turn on your mics, do it. Because I want us to take a break here just because I presented a lot of heavy information and I just want to make sure that it's not too overwhelming for everyone who's here. We can so there's a question that's being asked, can we replenish our gut microbe? Absolutely. I had my own digestive health issues. My hair was completely like, I thought I had alopecia because I was balding, and I was born with a lot of hair. And for women, our hair is our crown, and it was really distressing. Not to mention, I had a lot of inflammation, aches and pain everywhere, foggy brain, like just was gaining weight ridiculously, didn't understand why. As a practitioner, I went to my doctor over and over again, and it took a lot for me to get to the place to be told, oh, if you change, like, you really have to change your diet and eat very differently in order for you to, like, um, take control of this. And a lot of research is now being done around gut health. There's not a lot of information that's known. A lot of our doctors have not been trained in this area, but you can definitely replenish your gut microbe, and I'll share the steps on how to do that. Sister Idil, how can early healthy childhood diet be developed in a child who has limited choices? Um, that's a really great question, actually. Children um, are forming the basis of their health, their immune health. And for kids, it's really, really important to start building, um, expanding their palettes now. I understand what it means to, I'm a parent, so I understand what it means for kids to be picky. They go through stages where they feel like they can't really enjoy, they don't like this, and but yesterday you were eating this. Why don't you like it today? That does happen, but I want you to think about really trade-offs and look into children's plates and say, if if you, I'm going to give you this is what you want, and I need you to eat this, right? Even if they take a few bites, it's a few bites forward, right? I would invest in making sure that they're eating more fruits and vegetable, in particular vegetables, because that's where you get the best bang for your buck. um, I also like to hide things in children's food. I like them to see the vegetables on their plate, for one, but also like in things like pasta sauce and soups and stews and in even rice, the base of rice, I add a lot of pureed vegetables, and so it becomes a part of the dish that they're not aware of. So you're building in the nutrition, but you're not giving them and then you're giving them an extra vegetable that they see. So even if they take a few bites, you've built in some extra nutrition elsewhere. What else? What do you recommend to improve gut health? And also the tips on getting better sleep. Yes, we're going to go into that. What are the low hanging fruits for solutions? Yes, we're going to get into that. I love that. We're on the same page. Okay, so let's go to what we can do. Basic things that everyone can do. You don't have to label your eating habits. You could be like, whatever your food dogma is, whether you're paleo or keto, or you eat Mediterranean diet, or vegan or vegetarian, whatever your food dogma is. There is a understand that fundamentally food is medicine, right? And it's really important to look at food from that point of view, right? It's a how can food help me thrive? How can I make each plate and each meal serve me like how can I maximize the benefit of each meal is what I'm trying to say. And how can it serve me best? What foods can I add that are going to be really nourishing, really like the best bang for my buck in terms of like nutrients, calories, easier to digest. What are those? And then what do I love? It's kind of creating this trade off between, foods that you love and you enjoy and foods that you need to eat to enhance your health. So when it comes to food philosophy for me, the number one thing is eating foods that are living, that come from the soil. So things like green vegetables, um, leafy green vegetables are really high in nutrients. They are easy to digest. They are really full of like minerals and vitamins. They feed every cell in your body. Food is information, it tells your body how to behave. So every cell in your body receives this nutrient and interprets it. How can it serve me? And with vegetables in particular, they serve your cells in the maximum way. So making a third of your plate uh, as vegetables is really key into driving your health and into adding nutrients, adding fiber, adding easy to digest foods, foods that support your digestion and your gut microbes and your gut bacteria, foods that are hydrating. These are things that fruits and especially vegetables do for you, because they are low in the glycemic index, in the amount of sugar, but high in nutrients. So they are super, super nourishing. Now, what I would say about vegetables, really look at eating seasonal vegetables, right? So right now it's still warm outside, or it was summer. There were a lot of leafy greens. There were a lot of really like nutrient-rich vegetables that were in season. But think about like, the fall is coming, right? So there, our body also goes through these seasons, and so like the colder it gets, your more comforting foods that your body craves. But like have things like sweet potato. Sweet potato is a vegetable, starchy, but it and higher in the glycemic index, but it's still a great vegetables to have, right? So think about eating the rainbow, all the different colors, broccoli, squash. Um, think about putting your own cultural flair on these vegetables: spinach, kale, what else? Dandelion. Those bitter greens are really, really good for your gut because they help your digestive enzymes, which is what breaks down your food, and it also helps your, what is it called, your gut bacteria, and it helps with balanced sugar. So really, I mean, let me count the ways, is what I say when it comes to vegetables. They do so much, and try not to overcook them. Try to eat some raw, some cooked, some baked. Like, try a variety of ways of cooking your food. So that would be the number one thing I would invest in. Fruits, on the other hand, they're incredibly good for you. Eating whole fruits is really important. Not juicing your fruits is really important, because to get orange juice, you'd have to juice 4 oranges, and you're gonna lose all the fiber. Whereas in, like, if you ate one orange, you get fiber, you get the vitamin C, you get everything you need within that one fruit. But fruit is higher in glycemic index, and it drives your blood sugar up. So you need to really be mindful about the type of fruits you're choosing. Treat it like dessert, I would say. Treat it as something like, grapes are literally just sugar. They're sugar. Bananas are higher in sugar. Watermelon, even though they're hydrating, they're higher in sugar. um, Apples are great. They have pectin. They have like insoluble fiber that helps you eliminate and helps you with your digestion, and it just also helps push out all the toxins and all the things that are lurking around. Um, but there are great options as long as you're creating some balance around that. Is That's a great way to go, and it's the best bang for your buck. Now, the next thing I would say is really prioritizing healthy fats. Healthy fats, fats get a bad rep, but they wouldn't be on this earth if Allah didn't have a purpose for them. And the reason our ancestors or other generations were a lot healthier in constitution, especially mental health and their brain health, was because they were eating uh, fat, right? There's healthy fat, things like avocado, nuts and seeds, things like nut butters, and coconut oil. Coconut oil in particular will bypass your liver and will not have to go through your liver to be broken down as a fat. Remember, the liver is a fat burning organ. It goes straight to your brain and it feeds your brain health. So it really is great with people who are struggling with neuro uh, cognitive diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. And it's really important for us because we don't want to struggle with that in the future. So eating healthy fats, and fat keeps you satiated, keeps you full. The low fat generation had like where the struggled with weight the most because they weren't eating one of the most important nutrients, macronutrients, which fat is. It's a macronutrient. Our body needs it to function and survive. So, including fat in your diet is really important. It's key, and choosing healthy fats. Cook with avocado oil and coconut oil, grapeseed. Make sure that you are eliminating processed food is number three for me. Really huge, actually, because the amount of preservatives, some of the stuff is not even food, actually, but the amount of preservatives and additives that are in food nowadays, some stuff that you didn't even sign up for, that you are not aware of, that the FDA approves, which is the governing body of food. We are very trusting of others, right, when it comes to what we eat. But unless you know this food is a whole food that came from the earth, you really don't know what, if it came in a package, you have no idea what's in it. So always be an informed consumer or read the label. But if something says sugar as the first ingredient, then it is the largest amount of that ingredient in there, in the like largest amount. Let me rephrase that. So let's say I picked up a package of what am I? Kraft macaroni and cheese, right? And the first ingredients was monochloride hydroxy. I'm making stuff up. But let's say that's the first ingredient. That tells me that ingredient is the largest in, like it's the highest amount of ingredient in there. And then if sugar is next, and sugar has many names, uh, uh, fructose corn syrup, honey is a sugar, maple syrup is sugar. Some of them are natural sugars, but it's still sugar. If sugar in any form is the number one, two, or three ingredient, that means this food is mostly sugar. So you really need to be mindful of what you're putting in your body in that sense, and be an informed and consumer. Always read the label, because there's so many people marketing to you that are really making sure that you're picking up packages. So it's really key that you are making these decisions for yourself and you know what you're putting in your body. The other one that I want to discuss is bread. A lot of people are buying bread and they think it's a whole wheat bread. But unless it says on the back of the label, a whole wheat, whole grain, 100% whole wheat, whole grain, that bread could have 1% whole wheat and it could be called that. Like, reading the label is so important, making sure that when you're buying something, you know that it's that thing that you bought. Like, so if you are buying white bread, that's fine, but make sure that you don't think that's a whole grain bread. Whole wheat doesn't mean anything unless it says 100% whole wheat, whole grain. You need the whole grain because they only give you the endosperm, the middle part, otherwise. But when you get the whole grain, you get the entire grain, the fiber, the endosperm, the roughage, all of that, which is good for you and helps balance your blood sugar. Let's see what the comments say. What do you recommend to improve health? It's one of the most abundant circulation stored in humans. DHA. Yes. Are autoimmune disease reversible with diet and stress control? Absolutely. Any, they can be managed and go into remission. Uh, Reversible, the damage is whatever damage is done could be is done, but the body has a way of regenerating and really showing up for you. So you're if with diet and lifestyle and stress management, it all could be managed, right? Uh, a lot of people who have their thyroid removed because of surgery could have that little bit of nodules that are left work better than someone who has their full thyroid. So never give up on your body. Your everything could be like, I like to call remission, because you could go back to your old lifestyle and things could come back. So remission means you're back. There's no more damage. You have stopped. You are in a place where now you're in healing and progress. It's subhanallah. Like when, I mean, we are we, one of our number biggest blessings is our body, and Allah has the ability to show up for our body to show up for us all the time is a miraculous experience every that you get to experience every day. You break your leg and your leg heals, right? Something you get sick and you get better, and you don't realize how many cells and how many things are working in the background to get you back to your full health. So it is, what a blessing that is. um, the other thing, the fourth pillar that I have when it comes to healthy eating is making sure that you're eating in moderation. Really, everything in moderation. You can have a chocolate cake and enjoy it, as long as you know that chocolate cake is something that you're not going to punish yourself for. You're going to like allow yourself to savor the experience, and it's not a daily occurrence. Like, it is something that is a treat. Having um, things like foods that you love, that like some of the fried foods that we eat in our cultures, it's okay to eat that occasionally, but when it is all the time, then that the moderation is out of the door, right? And eating foods that are serving your body 80% of the time is what's really important. It's what you're doing the most that will um, you will reap the rewards of. The next thing I wanted to also share is really prioritizing your digestion. This is something that we talked about, and that was asked in the questions. How can you prioritize your digestion? First of all, it is making sure that you are paying attention to the foods that you're eating. We all have intolerances, and a lot of us eat and feel like a bomb exploded in our stomach, bloating, constipation, sometimes diarrhea, discomfort. So being aware of what foods are causing you that, and eliminating them for 6 weeks at least, is really important. Investing in a good probiotic that is multi-strained is a great idea for at least 3 months, taking that to help re-inoculate your system. Making sure that you are letting go processed foods, because sugar allows the bad bacteria to grow and thrive. So making sure that you eliminate that. And also eating foods like bitters, fermented foods. And when I say bitters, I mean arugula, dandelion, those vegetables that have like the little peppery spicy taste. Those really help feed the good bacteria. It's called prebiotics, and they help your prebiotics stay they prebiotics help the good bacteria stay alive and strong. Probiotics are the actual bacteria getting back in your body. And then making sure that you're having fermented foods. Every culture has its own fermented foods. Eating foods that are fermented have their own bacteria built within them. So things like kefir, lebanon, um, what is it called? Kimchi, sauerkraut, whatever. Like, if we are multicultural as Muslims, and so we know we all have these fermented foods. Having things like artichokes and cauliflower are all great for your healthy bacteria. Making sure that I'm going to talk about sugar in particular later on. Making sure that you're hydrating, and elimination is a process of removing toxins, hormones, leftover hormones, digestive waste, all of that out of the body. A lot of us are not eliminating. And if we're not eliminating, what happens is your body reabsorbs all of that, and then it becomes a part of your bloodstream, and your body has to work harder to remove these things. And the constant buildup, then that's when disease takes hold. What else? Did I forget anything about your digestion? Again, it becomes also a part of food. Self-care. Self-care is an agreement with yourself to take time and replenish. It's taking care of your wholeness, like your full self, because you can't separate your mind, body, and soul as apart. You are one, and so taking care of the full self, prioritizing yourself as a woman, is key to everything you do. You can't be good to anyone if you're not good to yourself, and remembering that is a way of really giving yourself permission. If you don't, whatever you do now, you're debiting from your future self. So whether you do it now, whether you pay the price like now or later, if you're not looking after yourself intentionally, if you're not taking steps to really care for your health and yourself, whether it's with food, whether it's with exercise, whether it's with meditation, prioritizing sleep, minimizing stress, with all of these things, you will debit from your future self. You are deciding right now who you're going to be a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, how you're going to age. The skin that a lot of women talk about, and like, oh, my skin is not as, like, it's not clear. It's not. Skin is a window to what's going on inside your body. So if you are experiencing any visible skin issues, it's because your body's sending you messages. Our body constantly tells us, hey, this is not working. Bloating is one of those signs. Hunger is one of those signs. Headaches is one of those signs. Fatigue is one of those signs, and we constantly ignore it. And then when you ignore your body's signs, what ends up happening, your body will decide, oh, okay, she doesn't want to listen. Okay, sure, I'm not going to tell you you're hungry. I actually have a really good example. You know how sometimes you gotta go pee, and then you're like, well, let me finish this, let me do this first, and then I'm gonna go pee. And then you wait to go pee, and then you start to realize your body goes from telling you you need to go to the washroom to not at all, and you urgently all of a sudden have to go. You're sitting there, you're fine, and then all of a sudden it's like this urge to go and pee. It's because your body decided you're ignoring the signal, so I'm not going to tell you until it's really like urgent. Same thing with hunger. You go from like fine to starving in 1 second. It's because your body, you've ignored it so much that it stopped telling you. So these are ways of like listening to our body's needs is a way of like self-care, but it's also a way of like healthcare, because you start to get ahead of issues before they really become a problem. For me, ways I self-care, for me is healthcare. Like I said, one of the real important ways that I care for myself is prayer. Right? Salah is really like not only connecting with Allah in a way that is like fard for us and meaningful, but it also allows you to kind of take some of this off your shoulder, right? Because you're really never in control. But when you're in front of Allah, you are able to put your problems forth, right? Every salah pose that you get into is a yoga pose also. Like it allows blood flow to your brain. It allows all the major muscles to be activated and to move and to stretch. And even the ruku' and a sujud is literally those neck muscle movements, and the blood flow to your brain is part of like healing and self-care, and it's part of like subhanallah, like it is really a way of us looking after ourselves in a meaningful way. And it's doing double duty, right? It's a form of meditation, it's a form of quieting the mind, it's a form of standing before our maker and like really quieting that inner voice, that constant conversation that's happening on our in our regular day. Reading the Quran is calming, it's centering, it's healing, it's connecting you to Allah, but it's also helping to de-stress. Um, Connecting with nature, getting outside is another way of de-stressing, but also not only are you it's grounding you, it's helping you move away from that stress response into a more fully in your body response. And then whatever else you do, whether you do a facial or whether you go out and with friends or connect with family or laughter, whatever it is, all these forms of self-care add up to literally uh, long-term benefits for your health and helping your body repair from the inside out. Okay, so eating the rainbow, we talked about food being the most powerful drug. I didn't say that, but food is the most powerful drug in the world. It works for 100% of the people, whereas in pharmaceutical drugs work for maybe 60% of the people. And for you, you have not been a part of the cohort that those pharmaceutical drugs were tested on. So it's never going to work for you 100%. So, but food, subhanAllah, works for 100% of humankind. So, using food as medicine and as a way to biochemically communicate with every cell, it food is like messages from the outside to your body on how to behave, right? So foods from the earth, like I said earlier, fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts and seeds, legumes, all of these things are, so easier way of like easier to digest, but also really higher in nutrients than meat. Meat takes a lot of from your body to digest, right? It's a living carcass, right? So it has tissues and muscles and things, and so it takes a lot longer to digest. So really using fruits and vegetables is the main part of your plate, and then you know if you're a meat eater, then eating your meat, but like portioning that to a lot smaller and filling up on the fruits and vegetables, so you when you eat the carbs in the meat, you're eating much less of it. And for the digestion, what I wanted to add is eating stews and soups that are that have a variety of like vegetables, like lentils or like grains, whatever you have. When it and they're cooked longer, they're easier to digest. Your stomach doesn't have to work as hard to break them down. So they're a really great way to get yourself to take care of your digestion. Um, Actually, I'm going to come back to that. I want to talk about hydration for a little bit. The importance of water. We are 60% water. It's the number one deficiency in the world, even though it's free. And we are not drinking enough water to keep our body's processes going. Water is necessary. You could actually stop eating and survive, but not drinking for a day will actually impact your health in a far greater way. 3 days of not drinking, you're dead. And so hydration is key to your health. It's key to how your body performs physically, your electrolytes, your kidney health, weight loss, tissue production, in eliminating. It's a huge part of elimination in getting your the toxins and the waste out of your body. And so a lot of people don't realize exhaustion and fatigue that they're feeling is due to actual dehydration. So things that you need to look out for: if your urine is dark, you're already dehydrated. If you're constipated, you're most likely dehydrated. Dry lips, chapped lips, dehydrated. Headaches, frequent headaches, dehydrated. Dizziness and lightheadedness, itchy, um, like really dry, flaky skin, a lot of the times you're dehydrated. Achy muscles, not being able to recover from workouts, dehydrated. Feeling fatigued and sleepy, a lot of the times, try water first before you start looking into other things. It's so simple yet so ignored. And the way what I recommend to my clients, I say, okay, we're drinking maybe 3 cups. And so I say increase it by two, because initially you'll start to notice you're constantly having to urinate and pee because your body is not holding on to the water. It's just like, it takes it a minute to get used to that, right? So initially you'll need a little time to give yourself a little time to recover. So you'll wait the day or two, or maybe I usually say, if you increase it by 2 cups, just wait a week, make that a habit, and then add another cup, and then so forth until you reach at least 10. I recommend anywhere from 10 to 12. 8 is really the minimum. So if you're not even drinking 8 and you're not even drinking 5, then we need to start looking into that immediately. It's the easiest fix, even for your digestion, because your healthy bacteria needs that to thrive. So yeah, and this sugar. I just want to tell you how much of a drug sugar is. It is on par, as addictive as research is showing, it's as addictive as heroin. Most people are consuming at least 22 teaspoons of sugar per day. And that's not the sugar that you see, right? Because it a lot of the food we're eating has added sugar in it, right? Packaged food, store-bought food, prepared foods, because sugar is like plays on your taste buds, right? It's part of that satiating yumminess, right? It creates that unctuousness, that and fat and the umami. They all do that. So sugar, there's added sugar in everything. Kellogg's cornflakes, which supposedly doesn't have any added sugar out of the cereals. If you turn it around, it has, I don't know, I forget, maybe said like it has added sugar, 13%. There's like white bread has added sugar. Even multigrain bread has added sugar. It's just there's so many places that we don't look for sugar that is just it's in there. And then on top of it, it's all the diseases that the sugar causes. It actually alters and attaches itself to receptors in your body, and so it alters your mood. It tells your brain to behave differently. It causes inflammation, which is like your body's response to heal itself. But when your body's inflammation is overworking, you start to see physical breakdown. Inflammation can happen to the skin. It's the number one cause for aging after stress. It literally, like, and then not to mention constant buildup of there's stuff coming in. Let me just check that for a second. What's the minimum amount of sugar one is allowed to have? Honestly, so okay, the I I say, like, think about it, sugar is not a nutrient, so it's not necessary. So um, honey, maple syrup, all the things that you jams, all of these things are sugar, right? But they're just called by a different name, and we assume because it's a natural sugar that it's not being counted as sugar, right? So I for your entire day you shouldn't have more than 5 teaspoons, right? But if you think about all the stuff, even fruits have a lot of sugar, vegetables have sugar, natural occurring sugar. That's fine. But if it's best to get it from like your food than to be getting it as an additive thing, right? I honestly just want to tell you, if you do nothing else today and you start to look at the amount of sugar you're consuming, if nothing else you take away from this conversation, that would have an incredible impact on your health and in the type of diseases you develop. I want you to know diabetes is the gateway to all other diseases. Because blood sugar impacts your brain and it impacts everything else. It's blood sugar is literally, and insulin is a hormone that decides like how much um let me take that back. Okay. So when you eat and food is converted to glucose, right? And it's broken down, converted to glucose. It knocks on your glucose knocks on your cells doors, and then insulin comes, which is a hormone, to help the glucose get into your cells as a form of energy, right? When your cells get the amount of energy they need, the rest of the glucose that's just coursing through your blood is converted by your liver to glycogen, which is stored in your muscle for energy for later. But if you're not using that energy for later, that's converted to fat, right? And fat is a living, breathing, hormone producing organism. Fat will cause inflammation. Fat will cause disease. Fat tells your brain how to behave. And so, all this extra fat that's living in your body, it's not good for you. And then it starts to like compress your organs. It starts to affect how your body responds or your cells respond to insulin. And then it's done. Like, that's when you start to develop insulin resistance. That's when diabetes and all these other things start to happen. And you really, like, we need to start taking diabetes very, very seriously, because it's a gateway to other diseases, but it is a very, very serious disease, and it could impact everything in your life long term. And the name of the game is prevention, it's not treatment. What is the best way to wean yourself off of sugar? What is the best way to wean yourself off of sugar? For me, the best way to wean myself off of sugar is to start. First of all, you have to detox your taste buds, right? Because your sugar, the sugar that we eat, especially high fructose syrup that's added to a lot of our foods, is not natural. Way like it's not natural sugar. So our capacity for the taste of sugar has changed. It's no longer natural. That's why fruits don't we don't really enjoy the sugar in fruits and vegetables, because we are eating this unnaturally high sweetened food, right? So you need to start including more fruits and vegetables and counterbalancing it with what else you're eating, because you will change your taste buds in the at it start to work on your taste buds, so you start to crave natural foods, and plus you'll start to feel lighter. What I do is, in terms of like my mornings, I do a smoothie. I am able to add some vegetables, some fruit, some healthy fat, some um, protein in the form of like hemp hearts and chia seeds, and then I'm able to like use that as a way of like filling myself up. So I'm filled up myself with some good stuff. So then I'm not as hungry. So even if I have a toast with jam, let's say, I'm gonna have one instead of like the two or three that I was gonna do, you know? So and if you're having coffee, cut the sugar in half and then cut it in half a week later and then cut it in half a week after that. And start to now, you start to do it gradually, it becomes not jarring, but a part of your life. And it becomes manageable. But if you say, I'm going to go from zero to 100 and stop everything all at once, it's really hard. It's like going to rehab almost. It's very difficult in the beginning. You could do it, but it's not sustainable or manageable, right? Give yourself the grace of doing it gradually. Allow yourself, you didn't get here overnight. Habits have been formed over long periods of time. It's a slow transition and change. All right, where are we? Supplementing. Before we get to the supplements, and we're winding down. I don't even know what time it is, but supplementing smartly is a great. It's important, but before you do that, before you supplement, I need you to know your numbers. Become someone, be in charge of your health. Start to learn what your numbers are. So when I say know your numbers, I mean know your A1C, which is your blood sugar number. Know your THS, TSH, which is your thyroid hormone number. Know your vitamin D levels, know your B12 levels, know your iron levels. If you know these levels, when they start to become out of whack or they're not what they need to be, then you can actually say to yourself, okay, my iron is low now. I need to increase it. It used to be here and now it's here. How can I manage that? Right? Whereas if you didn't know any of these numbers, when things go wrong, how do you know how far you've come, where you were, even if you made progress? If you weren't aware of these numbers and you didn't know what your baselines were, how are you gonna keep track of the progress and all the positive things you're doing, right? So know your numbers. Make sure you're getting most of your minerals, vitamins, and nutrients from food first. And then if you need to supplement, then you go ahead and do that, right? Vitamin D3, number one supplement. Especially if you're wearing hijab as a Muslima, it should be priority number one for you and your kids, because vitamin D is it's a hormone. It's a pre-hormone. It's involved in so many of the body's processes, but on top of that, it is essential for your bone health. So if you're low in vitamin D, you will surely develop osteoporosis down the road, and it affects your mood and it affects so many things. So please invest in vitamin D3, 1,000 international units. Get you some. It's my I want you to do that today if you haven't done it yet. um Also, what else would magnesium is also another deficiency that most women suffer from, and most of us are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is important for our nerve health and our nervous system. It's important for our muscle health. It helps to sleep better. And so taking magnesium at night, purchasing a quality, make sure you read the labels and it says it only has magnesium in there. And then the third one that I would recommend is omega-3 fatty acids. It's really important because a lot of us are not getting healthy fat. And if you're not eating enough fish, or you're not adding enough healthy fats into your diet, then get a supplement like cod liver oil or omega-3 fish oil that you and your kids could both take. I like adaptogens. Adaptogens are, sorry, where is the adaptogens? Did I take that out? Okay. The adaptogens are herbs that help your body rebalance where it needs to. This is not necessary, but it's an option if you're under a lot of chronic stress. Things like ashwagandha is a great addition. Holy basil is an adaptogen. They're great addition into your diet, but that is after you've really conquered your healthy eating habits before you get into the supplements. Resilience. Building our resilience. Resilience for us is key because life keeps on coming, and things happen, and getting ourselves is that inner strength that keeps us that enables us to deal with stress when it happens. So really creating space for yourself, it's another form of self-care. It's a way you're giving your, like, putting yourself on the list. Do things you love. If you love painting, paint. If you love um, you know working out, do that. If you have friends that just bring you joy, go ahead and connect with them. Do something that fills your cup. It should be overflowing. Give from your overflow. Do not give from like a half full cup, because you gave the half and then what happens? Like, it's not selfish to be self full, right? You want that for your kids, and they're watching you, you're teaching them. You want that for your loved ones, they're watching you, you're teaching them how to treat you. You're telling them, I'm not worthy of looking after myself. I'm not worthy of being that care that I'm giving you. You are worthy, and if you don't put yourself on the list, nobody's going to do it. Nobody. There's nobody who's going to love you more than you love yourself. There's nobody who's going to show up for you the way you show up for yourself. I need you to, like, underline that. You are it for yourself. Like, nobody can look after you in the same way. And be kind to yourself. What you say to yourself really matters. Nobody talks to you like the way you talk to yourself. Nobody really, the stuff that you say to yourself, you would not even dream anybody else saying to you. So really, um, make it a habit to really invest in the language that we are saying to ourselves, how we approach ourselves, the the I cannot mentality. You can. There's the one thing standing between you and what you want is you. It's just in our minds, right? We all struggle with that. This is not something that is, only one person struggling with. We're all struggling, but some of us are better at giving ourselves permission to do things. Like, we give ourselves permission. We are a little kinder to ourselves, and it's a practice, like a muscle you have to work out. Resilience is a muscle that you have to build. Finally, moving your body. So important. Exercise is like your body's a machine, right? If it's not being used, it's breaking down. It's like, if a machine sits around, it becomes rusted, it breaks down, it's not working as well as in when it's brand new. Blood flow for muscles is necessary, not only in moving waste, but in bringing oxygen and allowing that muscle to live and stay strong. Otherwise, it atrophies and dies. So you really need to move for the health of yourself and your future self. Remember, we're not debiting from our future self, we're investing in ourselves. And so whatever you put in the bank today will be there for you later. And you're not magically going to age into your, like, beautiful self, your best self. You're going to have to work for that. So invest in moving, whatever. If it's 10 minutes, one of the things I really do is during prayer, after prayer, I stretch. I have a yoga mat under my prayer mat, and I stretch my body, using the prayer mat, and just getting in, like, when I remove my prayer mat, I use the yoga mat, and that's 5 times a day. You've built that in, right? And that's just stretching. And then if you just go for a 15-minute walk, go up and down your stairs, these are ways that you're building manageable ways of moving your body. So we always make things harder than they should be. Small things add up to big things and big wins. I am so excited to talk to you guys. I have been waiting for this moment. I have been talking nonstop and I like con- interaction. So let's go. Let's ask questions. Let's interact. I am so excited for this. All right, let me do this. Let's go to the chat. I mean, unmute your mics. If you guys have questions, just tell me and I'll just call on you guys, and then that way I can answer your questions. Could you please recommend some good resources, websites, books, for us to learn more about additives in food and more details? This is really great session. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you, Jazakallah khair. It at If you connect with me on Idil's World, I'll put that there because I don't have anything in front of me. There's so many, like, there's so much information, and I know sometimes it's an overload of information, but there's a lot of great information out there. For me, it's really important for women to thrive in their body. We are the teachers, the mothers, the caregivers, and it's really important that we start taking charge and reclaim our own power and our health, connect with our feminine body, be in our body, become home to ourselves. This is really key because we can't just constantly, we are the ones struggling with a lot of these diseases. And as we go on, who's going to look after us as we age, right? So I really, it's, I'm deeply committed to this work. It's my life's work, really reclaiming our health through food. I love that. SubhanAllah, I'm giving. Yeah, don't give from your empty cup. Your cup should be running, like it should be. The overflow is what we're giving people now, because can you imagine how good you're gonna feel? Can you imagine the person who's gonna show up to be that incredible person? I mean, you're just gonna be, if you're just giving from an empty cup and you're amazing, can you imagine who you're gonna be when you give from like an overflow? SubhanAllah. Avoiding buying anything that's sweetener or dessert or sweet snacks in my cabinets helps me. Also avoiding using sugar, and maybe use honey instead, but it's still sugar and slowly reduced. I don't use sugar in my tea anymore. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like whenever something is available and it's at a hand's, like you could reach for it, then you're gonna eat it. So that's a really great suggestion, making sure that you're not buying stuff. I do not buy it, I make it. I believe that when you make something, even if you want cake, fries, whatever, if you make it, you're going to realize how much work it takes. So you're not going to be eating it all the time. It's a rule, and it's a safety guard that I put in place for myself. So if I want something sweet, I have to make it, and I have to make the time for it. So that's how I stopped my sugar consumption. Yes, a place of ihsan. Exactly, subhanallah. Um, what's the minimum amount of sugar is okay, we talked about that. I feel like I'm missing questions because I wasn't back here as, for me, I autoimmune disease is really something. There's a lot of people who are struggling with autoimmune disease who haven't been diagnosed yet. There's a lot of people who advocate for yourself. Make sure when you go to the doctor, if the doctor is not listening to you because you're the expert on your body, understand that you might need to start looking for someone else, because, or ask the doctor to for a second opinion, ask them to go to a specialist. If they're not listening, ask them to document that in your file, because that in this part of the world, that is actually illegal, because if you discover, they're liable for that. So they're most likely going to start showing up and doing what they need to do if you ask them to document that they refuse to see a specialist or a second opinion if you're not feeling well and you know that these symptoms have been persisting. It's hormone that links the testosterone. Yes. True, I had to change to see functional doctor to start the healing now. Yes. Functional doctors look at the root cause of a problem is just instead of just putting band-aids on looking at one thing at a time. They look at the root cause and they start to really draw a map between all of the symptoms that you're experiencing. That's someone who's listening, right? Because in order for them to get to the root cause, they had to listen to you, and you're the expert. Assalamu alaikum. I'm a type 1 diabetic for 25 years. Take ashwagandha, chase tree, multivitamins, and try to have healthy things, but sometimes struggle in. Right. So I would recommend if you are a diabetic, really knowing your numbers in terms of your blood sugar, right? So in the beginning, it's going to be a bit of a chore. You need to start like documenting how high your blood sugar goes after each meal at 2 hours after you eat, right? And you need to know 2 hours before you eat, right? So I would start with breakfast. I would do 2 hours before I eat. As soon as I wake up, I'll check my blood sugar. I'll wait before lunch. I'll check my blood sugar. And then, so every alternate meal, one before you eat, one after you eat. So that way you're not constantly poking yourself. But this gives you an idea what happens when you eat, where, what are your levels. And you start to recognize what foods push your blood sugar too high, and you start to make adjustments there, because you need to have like a visual, like it's walking blind otherwise, right? Because you have no idea. I just ate, but my blood sugar is not stable. Why not, right? A1C is the 3-month blood sugar. That also, that number, and seeing what's been happening. Have I been stressed? Have I been emotionally eating? Where are the gaps? And start to like sort of make these connections. It draws a picture, and then you can make the changes accordingly. Here. Some people like drink, what did you say? You drink a lot of water. Um, but you have some of the symptoms. Is that what I'm reading? I find that if you are drinking sufficient amount of water and you still have symptoms, then there's something else going on. And that's a great way to sort of like start eliminating by like doing the easiest, quickest thing, right? I hope I got that question. I'm just gonna go to the top of this. I have to jump off to take care of something, please. Oh, that was, um, yeah. I mean, if you guys don't have any other questions, I feel like, subhanallah, uh, at these times we need the community. We need to stay connected. We need to be able to just really come together and share resources and information. Please do stay in touch. I really hope to connect with you at Idil's World. I have all my information there, but I'm doing a course in November. It's a 4-week course. So the first one is on your hormones, it's on fertility, it is on immune health, and then it is on changing how you eat. This was a lot in one session, and my goal is to break that down and really make it comprehensive. We need to understand how our body works, how our hormones work, in order to heal permanently and start to move in the direction of thriving and feeling our best. So if that sounds interesting to you, do connect with me, and I'll inshallah look forward to, and I provide meal plans and resources bi'idhnillah. All right, ladies, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakum Allahu khairan. And thank you for coming on today and joining me. I look forward to connecting again in the future. Assalamu alaikum.